Morning, New Zealand. Good morning, Ali, and good afternoon and good evening, America and Europe. Welcome to Web26 TV and the Marketing Channel, and we're today with Ali Cook, the NZ Female Artist of the Year, a recording artist, to talk about the crowdfunding. The crowdfunding, this major concept with the social media revolution, and especially for artists around the world, crowdfunding is probably one of the tools. Ali, what do you think about crowdfunding, and could you just tell us in a few words when you start crowdfunding?
Okay, I found crowdfunding site through another artist, and because I was looking for a way to get the funding together to record an album, and it's very expensive. And I found crowdfunding, and there was a site called Celeband, and I joined that in 2009 and fundraised for my first album, Brand New Day, and raised 20,000 US in 4 months and 6 days. And now I'm on to my second album, and I'm up to nearly 14,000 euro fundraised for my second album.
Do you think that in a very simple marketing approach, again involved in this social media revolution for 4 years right now, do you think this is the right tool any artist and even singer-songwriter can go through to self-finance their production?
Yeah, I think well, really, it's not just for musicians, but also for writers. I've seen it used for launching movies, for movie launches. I've seen it used for just all kinds of arts projects, and actually volunteer projects. There are different types of fan fundraising sites, so they're not all the same. The sort of ones that are fundraising for, say, a benefit for something tend to use a site like Indiegogo.com, which is just straight giving the project money for a product or a bonus of some kind, t-shirt, what have you, whatever it is, name on the project, etc. Whereas Celeband is more actively works more like a shareholding, where you sell a number of shares and the investors, or believers as they are called, are on a share of the income. So they're two different models.
Now, what is the basic principle of the crowdfunding on the different sites and tools we can suggest and provide? People are investing, and what could be their return as soon as the album is produced?
Okay, so on my first album now, obviously I'm inside that return period. So what happens with Celeband, which is the site that I use, is for 5 years, consecutive years after the release of the album, I put sales in, and those sales are distributed amongst the shares, the number of shares. So for example, I raised 20,000, each share was $10, so that's 2,000 shares. So when I pay in $500, say, in sales, that is distributed amongst the number of shares, so it's divided by 2,000, and then depending on the number of shares that particular shareholders get is the amount of money that goes back into those Celeband accounts. They can then choose to invest it in the next album, or they can choose to just withdraw it into their PayPal. So that's how that distribution works. So, but also people offer bonuses, like I have on my one for artists, for investors that are putting in over 20 shares, for example. They are on a percentage of my airplay royalty as well. So I take my APRA check, I take 40% of that, and I put it back into Celeband, and it's on the second album, it will only be distributed to those who had 20 shares or greater. That means I can benefit those in a much greater way that put in a large amount of shares, whereas a person who just bought one share will get the album and a tiny piece of each time I put one of those checks in.
So, all right, for our audience to to better understand the work they have to do. In fact, even with the crowdfunding. All right, the crowdfunding is a tool, so you can finance all your albums, your movie, or whatever. But what was, and because you're a good marketer, what was the work you did around this crowdfunding? Because you need to inform people that the project is in progress or something like that. And how do you connect, in fact, social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and whatever, to these projects on Celeband, on Indiegogo, and so? What could be your...
Yeah, well, first of all, a strong social media database is pretty important. So it's about building those social media databases. I particularly use Facebook. The reason I like Facebook over Twitter is basically imagery. You know, you can put up a video, it's posted right there where a person sees the video. You can put up pictures, you can post, you know, your site over and over. I have a sort of a method that I work by. So every time somebody would invest, I say thank you very much to that person. This person just invested and bought 3 shares in my album. I thank you. Hey people, if you would like to become an investor, it will cost you €10 to become an investor, no more than a cup of coffee, or whatever I put in the post, and I post that across my networks. So, but every day I grow my networks as well, because that's important to do. You also put it on at gigs, on printed paraphernalia, on your business cards, on the bottom of your email signature. You know, there's lots of things that you can do to spread the word. I send out newsletters and put it in my newsletter how much funding I'm up to, you know. So you've just got to, you can't just put it up and think it's going to work. It's a lot of really hard work. So,
I know.
yeah, that's the important thing to remember. It's not, you know, you're not going to get $20,000 by sitting on your chuff and, you know, staring at the screen. Yeah.
So, in other words, what you recommended to a young artist starting in the business and wanting to release his first album or to get involved in this show business, you recommend that using a multi-channel and going everywhere to promote himself or herself, for sure, and even the project, and the project become the art of the of his core business at the time is funding. That's right?
Yeah. Yeah, and also a YouTube is a great thing. Making up a video where you just sit here like I am talking to this camera and you tell people about your project, who you are, share a little bit of your music on that video, explain to them how it works, because crowdfunding is a new thing, you know. It's like social media. Some people don't understand what Facebook is, you know, and a lot of people don't know what crowdfunding is. Why should I give you money? They don't, you know, it's actually explaining that it's holding shares in your album, or that you're paying onto this thing and you're advance buying the product. People don't quite understand that. So it's very, very important to explain to people how it works. That's one of the most important things, is people don't, unless they've come across somebody who's crowdfunding, they don't know what crowdfunding is.
Yeah, sure. And do you think this is the tool for an independent artist? Do you think it could be just enough to finance and self-finance a project, or we need some extra funding or something like that?
Well, certainly the more funding you have, the more skill you have, the better product you're going to make and the better product you're going to market. And a lot of artists are only focused on the music, and increasingly that's becoming not the way. You know, independent artists have to be their own record company, they have to be their own manager, they have to be their own agent. So there's a lot of learning there to be done. That's where I found I was very lucky. I came from a promotions background, working for promoters, touring with artists, publicity, ran a record company in the past, in the 80s. So that knowledge has helped me a great deal, and now I find myself passing this knowledge on. So I'm now doing seminars teaching artists about crowdfunding, and I certainly think it puts the ball back in your court, and you can raise the funds. Your believers or investors become like a street team, which street teams have always existed in record companies, where they had people that went out and actively kind of promoted on the street, DJs that played people's music in nightclubs and stuff like that. There's always been street teams. So your investors become like a street team. They're also your record company. They serve one part of your record company. They serve the financing part of your record company. However, there are many facets to a record company. They also do your marketing, they do your publicity, they organise your distribution, your marketing, your aggregation to iTunes, etc. So you have to fill all of those other roles. So the money that you get from crowdfunding, you might, if you're not so good at publicity yourself, you might hire a publicist and spend $1,000 on a publicist helping you get your album out, etc. Or helping you get organised in that department. You still need the other things. You still need the distribution, and I went out and did that, and actively have a proper distributor that puts my CDs into retail, etc. Yeah.
You explained just before that you have a constant work during the crowdfunding period itself, and just around the time you are not crowdfunding, between two projects. And I've just seen and very impressed with the figures on the Alicook Music fan page on Facebook, because you have reached next to 300,000 people reaching the page, and the average is close to 100,000 people reaching the page. What could be, okay, we have understood that the efforts you made constantly on the work, but what could be the recommendation you can give to a young artist to maintain such a level? We know this is a long-term work.
Okay, well, it's a long-term amount of work, but I do use Facebook advertising on my page, and I limit it to, I look at it this way. I can spend $5 a day on Facebook advertising, or $35 a week, Now, when I look at that against print advertising or some other form of advertising, one advert in a country music magazine would be $500. Well, that's a lot of days crowdfunding and advertising, and I know that I am getting a return for that because I see the likes every morning when I wake up. And I specifically, with Facebook advertising, I think that it's probably an attainable advertising for an independent artist or for a very small company that doesn't have a lot of money to spend on advertising, for a good return, and the advertising is extremely targeted. I am pushing my music mainly in Australia and New Zealand, and I know that my demographic is the 35 plus demographic. So my adverts are aimed at people whose interest is country music, who are over 35, who live in Australia and live in New Zealand. And those are the only people who see my adverts. Only those that have said in their Facebook stats that they like country music, and only those that live in New Zealand and Australia, and only those that are over 35. So I have a very targeted campaign of growing that Facebook page exactly where I need it grown. Yeah.
What kind of tool are you using to monitor exactly the return on your Facebook advertisement invest, or Google Plus advertisement invest, or AdWord or something like that? Are you really using a tool to monitor, or are you just seeing the return on the people coming in on the crowdfunding and investing in your project?
Yeah, I just, I think I understood that question because it broke up a little bit, but I basically only advertise the Facebook page, and then the growth of the Facebook page and new people coming on board. And with the crowdfunding too, I'll target people if I'm fairly close to people and they have an interest in me from something else they're doing with me. I'll just go, well, why don't you own a share? You're helping me this way, own a share, because then you own a share in in the fact that you're helping me. So I do individually go out and look for people who will buy an investment, and that's even if it's just one part, you know, even if it's just going to own the album, even if it's just pre-selling one part, and they're just an individual shareholder, I still go out and target. But certainly as I'm advertising, my Facebook page is growing, and a certain amount of those people are potentially that come in discovering about crowdfunding. They're seeing me post it and will ask about it. And yeah, I mean, believers, people that actually put their finger on the thing and go and spend €10 on investing in a part, they come for all different reasons. I've learned that, you know, it's not, and sometimes with Celiband, because they can actually be anonymous, you don't even know who they are, and they actually come in and $10 appears and there's a nickname on it and you've and a country on it, and that's all you know. So because Celiband keeps people's details private, they only at the end do they give the artist the physical addresses to send the CDs to if the artist is actually doing their own send out, but they don't give out email addresses.
Do you think the believers and followers and investors in the project are usually coming from Celiband or Indiegogo and then go to your Facebook fan page, or both on the reverse way from the Facebook page to or simply on Facebook in your direct contact to your project? What is the
certainly with Celiband. Yeah, certainly with Celiband, there is a community there of people who are not on my Facebook page, who you will see come in and they take one part in a number of artists, so it's something that they do. That community is not as big as it was because Celiband went through some sort of upheavals and went bankrupt actually and was rebought by a German company and relaunched by a German company in about 2010. So it lost some of its community, but then in saying that, it's gained new community as well who are investing. So certainly there are investors on there that I don't have a lot of contact with through the Facebook page, but do actually invest in not only me, but a lot of other artists. And then there is also the other way, those that I've found on Facebook and discovered on Facebook who have gone over to become investors on Celiband or an Indiegogo project. So it actually goes both ways in that. And then there are some people who've seen me live and then come and found me on Facebook and then found my Celiband project. So you have to cover all bases because they come from everywhere.
Cool. All right. So this is one more proof that the multi-channel strategy is inescapable. In fact, just to complete around and to surround the project and to be sure that people are coming from both ways and are all concentrated on the project itself, whatever Indiegogo or Celiband or whatever. Do you think that the crowdfunding is a good cleaning and a good lesson, a good teaching for the major companies?
Yeah, well, I think you see more and more ex-major artists now that come in, and actually was I've forgotten her name now. She's just, the name's escaped me, but there's a girl from an alternative band that she raised $1 million. She's one of the biggest crowdfunders around, and I saw a talk by her where she did an interview, and she said we need to change, the music industry is changing, we need to change the way in which we offer people to pay for our music. So I thought it was a good way of, you know, rather than saying buy my CD, they might crowdfund, buy it that way. You know, say actually I want a new CD from you and here's some money so you can do it. You know, so it's kind of like putting it back to the public as to how they buy their music. So I think people are finding new ways to buy music. It's quite interesting. My son came out on his iPod the other day with a blues artist that was just an independent blues artist in Australia that he just discovered through the internet that he liked. And he went to iTunes and got his, you know, and I thought, my goodness, that's actually showing that people are actually starting to go out. They might see a video on social media and go, oh, I really like that artist, and go find them. So certainly it's leveling the playing field a bit, and certainly I think the majors have had to go out and adapt, which is why we see the reality shows, because that is now their way of selling records, is to make reality artists, X Factor, Idol, The Voice, all those things,
Yeah.
is a way basically for the major record companies, in particular Sony, which is connected to all of those. It's now their way to sell records, is to make the star through a television program and sell records that way. So they've had to adapt to sell records, and that's sort of sad in a way, because it's actually, because those artists, it's cutting away the normal kind of way channels that you go through. So and I'm seeing actually increasing numbers of independent artists that are actually trying out on those shows. They're actually artists like myself that have got an album or two doing it independently, then bang, the next thing they're on X Factor. And they're trying to get that exposure, because at the end of the day it's exposure. But unfortunately the downside of that is the big tight record company contract comes with it, and so do limitations of what you can do. So some indies choose not to go down that road. Also, it can be quite dangerous too. I saw an indie the other day that was a indie artist that I know that's put out a few videos and went on an X Factor program here and got slaughtered and didn't get through. And I thought, whoa, you can easily take something you've built up, and just because 4 X Factor judges don't like you, you can be on national television not being liked, which is a bloody dangerous place to be. So yeah, it's a real, that sort of thing's a real gamble. But again, that's the major record company's way of adapting, because they've had to adapt as well to a new music world.
What can be the big danger of the crowdfunding for a young artist, or the first time for an artist to be involved in the crowdfunding project? What could be this biggest danger?
Probably just not to, first of all, in early parts of crowdfunding, not to work hard enough, just not to get out there and just to think that, oh, well, take a look at somebody like, oh, look, Ellie Cook, she got her 20,000, I'll just put mine up and I'll just get it. Well, no, it doesn't happen like that. You've got to actually work hard. And then if you do get to actually get your crowdfunding, and you're on Celiband, I think it's extremely important to give back to your investors, just like you promised. So you have to keep your promises. That's really important. I've been held up with a editing at the moment on a project that I did on Indiegogo, but I am getting there with it from the 2011 tour. I've got to finish editing up and put out a DVD. So, sometimes things take longer than you anticipated, but you've got to get there in the end. As long as you get there in the end, that's okay.
All right, good. And so now about Ali Cook yourself. What is the latest actuality? I know, and we have seen on social media, especially on Facebook, that you're deeply involved with the Southwesters, and there's a project in progress on crowdfunding and many gigs around. And what are Ali Cook's the latest?
Yeah, okay, so
Ali, can you hear me?
I've got a fairly full winter coming up. Yes, I can. Yeah, I've got a fairly full winter coming up. Most of my announcements are coming in May, June, for things in July, August. I will be going to Gympie Muster. That has been announced already, which is one of Australia's biggest festivals. I'll be going there with my band, the Southwesters. And I will be going to Australia in July also, and conducting a social media and crowdfunding marketing conference as part of a retreat. So I can't quite announce that yet, but there's a lot of other profiled Australian artists who will be teaching songwriting, guitar, and I'll be doing crowdfunding and social media. And so artists will be able to pay a fee and go along and stay in this one place for 4 days with 4 or 5 tutors, and have immersement in music, so it's like a retreat. So I've been invited to do that. I'm also going over to Western Australia to Kununurra Agricultural Show. I'll be performing over there in Western Australia in Kununurra, and I will also be judging their horse classes. So that's one of those double up things that I do. Yeah, and then I've got another couple of local gigs that are coming up in a very, very big promotion with a big corporate here in New Zealand, which I'm sort of like zip sealed, not allowed to say anything about until they launch their PR on it. But it will be very good for my career. That's
Cool.
put me a little bit on the map. So, and this is, you know, I mean, this is what you have to do as an independent. You don't have the power of a big corporate behind you. So you have to build associations with companies, and it's something that I've done a lot of. I have an association with a company called Nature Bee, and in fact, Nature Bee arranged 2 major Australian interviews for me on top talkback shows because they were advertisers on those stations, and I did a jingle for them, which took me to Australia to do that jingle live on radio. And Nature Bee is a potentiated bee pollen product. It's something that you take like a vitamin, and well, it is full of vitamins and minerals, but yeah, so it's a product that I do that with. And another product is a product called the Cream and Electric Body in the States, and so I push their Facebook page and their products, and involve their products in my promotion. The other thing I have coming up is the Dream Maker wedding promotion, which I've written the music for, where someone can win a wedding worth $30,000. So that has a lot of businesses involved in it. I've done the music for it, and so that's, you know, another cross-marketing thing. So cross-marketing, looking for small companies in your area that might want to get out there, and this is what happens when your social media databases become bigger. You become a more desirable channel, because like if I add up all my Facebook pages and everything, my channel is sort of 20 or 30,000 people. So when you have somebody that you know that has a small product, they're trying to get out there, you can say, you invest in my albums and parts, and I will push your Facebook page through my channels, and introduce it to the people on my channel. So the bigger your channel becomes, the more power your channel's actually got to connect with people. And so that's, and then the other thing you can do is you can say, well, you pay me some money and I'll advertise that posting using the Facebook advertiser post, and it will go out to more of my database. So there's using that too, which is the other form of Facebook advertising, apart from the very targeted ads that are down the side of the page, is to take a post, a video, and promote that post. Well, it goes randomly across the networks, whereas the little ads down the side of the page you can make go to the person who's over 35 that lives in this town. The other ones are more random and through the 7,000 people I have on my Facebook page, for example. So, yeah, so, you know, it's really getting in there and studying the ways in which you can leverage using all of the things you have.
Yeah. I really like your the last example you gave, because this is all the fundamental of the classical marketing and traditional marketing, that using the databases and promoting and completing and increasing the crowd you have around you, and then because you exchange link or you exchange post, and because people are investing, and then you push and you have some kind of barters with them. Give me some money in my project, I will post and push your page. This is all the fundamentals and the basic principle of the traditional marketing, using the tool of new generation, and that's why probably you succeeded, and all the first album and the project in progress are full success stories, because you're using all this fundamental.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just I'm always of the opinion that it's sort of like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours in business. So I had an example a couple of weeks ago where I was trying to get a person involved in a promotion, and they were like, "Oh, but I don't want to give my product away." And I'm like, "But you know, there are a number of people involved in this promotion, a number of businesses. So you instantly connect with all those businesses, and they're all giving something to make something. And so I think it's really working together as businesses and working together as artists. When you have a small business, you're small, but when you have all these small businesses and you can find a way to connect everybody together and all give a little something each to push forward, I think that is a real powerful thing. A small business then becomes, with its working alongside other.
Ali, you're frozen. If you can hear me, you're just frozen.
Yeah, sorry, I
Ali,
think I'm
we
back
have lost
there now.
Ali, but she's back in a few seconds. Ali, can you hear me?
I can now.
Ali?
Yes, I
Ali,
can hear you.
Yeah, you're frozen. Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay, everything is back to normal. All right, yes, that's right. That's right.
Okay, no, I was just talking about yeah, businesses all clicking in together and actually working together. And the other thing I've done with independent artists with crowdfunding is to do Swap-A-Vest. And that's where I have another artist that I quite like and I'd quite like their album. So I go to them and go, if I put $10 into your project, will you put $10 into mine? And so I call that Swap-A-Vest, which is swap of investment. And of course, then it gives us both another reason to go out and say thank you on social media for this person and check out their project, and they do the same. And then all of a sudden, I'm putting them across my networks, they're putting me across their networks. So working with people and not against them is a very good thing. I think it's a good thing karmatically, you know, it actually brings good things back when you actually help others as well.
Yeah, this is one of the major points you have understood in Oceania and in North America that in Europe people haven't really understood, because they all consider that people doing the same business or doing the same work are just competitors, and in fact not.
Nah. No, you're competing, no matter what you are as a business, you're competing against corporate multinationals. That's the competition.
Exactly.
So no matter what business you're in, you're up against a multinational. So when you're lots of little businesses and you work together, you can get more power. And so, you know, little businesses should pull together as much as possible.
In more than on the 21st century, with all these new tools and this again, this social media revolution, all small business owners and small companies needs to be a crowd in the crowd. In fact, instead of it couldn't work, and the best way to succeed, and you are the right proof, in fact, that the being in association and working in association with other artists, just helping one and getting from another, and in cross marketing your actions, means that you can crowdfunding the first album and going through other project with your band by yourself, etc., etc., etc. So the traditional basic the basic principle of traditional marketing, that was the success. So we're close to the end of the broadcast, and in conclusion, what is your recommendation? Crowdfunding a way of success or not?
Yeah, I just think that the important thing is to work hard and grow networks, and that's what you have to do. And so don't think that just because it's social media, it's not hard work, because it is. It's constant, and you must post regularly. That's the important thing, post regularly. otherwise, because those posts disappear on a feed very, very quickly. Thanks for having me on today too, Phil.
Thank you very much for your time, Maille, and it's always a pleasure to exchange with you, especially on marketing and everything, because that was a great success story between us, and especially with Brand New Day and everything that followed Brand New Day. So have a very, very nice day in New Zealand, and where you're always welcome on Web 26 TV and on Culturel. So just let me know when you want to come back. Thank you again, Ali. And
okay, I'll be back. Thank you, Phil. Bye.
Bye-bye.